I guess it really started when I moved to Florida to live near Shannon so that we could play more music together, write Godsmack music, and just create music. We started playing different styles of music, and that's basically how it started.
Yeah, I had a studio down in Florida, and Big Tone moved down, and we were writing for Godsmack, and we kind of played our hard rock stuff out, and we had a bunch of songs. What do we do now? We just started jamming. And I heard him play the blues, and I'd never heard him play guitar like that, and I was like, man, we got to start a blues band. And the intent was, we'll get a blues band together, and we'll play the local smoke-filled bars and just, have fun with it. And then I ride Harley Davidsons around, and I met him at a biker bar down there, Ragged Ass Saloon, I think it was. And we hit it off at the bar, and I ended up becoming good friends with Ray. Went over to his house, and he had some acoustic guitars there, and I'm like, oh, you play? Yeah, I wrote a couple songs. And I loved the tone of his voice. And it wasn't until like a year later that Tony and I had written 4 or 5 songs or whatever. And, we didn't call anyone else. Ray was the guy. And then with Brian, it was when we got Ray, we were like, wow, he started singing on the demos that Tony had played bass on originally, And I'm like, well, this is cool. We're about ready to go and play clubs. We need a bass player, And I had done this, like, building the band thing for a radio station down there. And I was a judge. And on the bass guitar night, like 15 bass players came in. They get up on stage, and it wasn't even a question. I'm like, I looked at the other judges, the DJs and stuff. I'm like, yeah. Everybody's like, Brian, And so anyway, probably a year after that or something was when I called Brian out of the blue and said, hey, man, want to play my blues band? He's like, hell yeah. And that's the whole story of it. And there was never any kind of like auditioning or anything like that. It all just came together magically.
Yes. Been playing acoustic since about 77. And, well, no, before that, I'm sorry. Take it 10 more years back. And I was on and off with the guitar. I wasn't doing too much. When I moved to Florida, I got involved with an organization of singer-songwriters. And so they were egging me on, come on, you got to write songs. And I started writing and performing a little bit out there and getting out and doing my own songs and doing some covers and getting more active. And that's when I ran into Shannon, and he heard me do one of my songs. And I just want to add to that story that you told about that, getting it together. And that's when I got that phone call from Shannon. I only knew Shannon kind of on a social basis. We get together and ride and do lunch, relax and all. And then I got a phone call one day, and he says, well, Tony and I wrote this blues song, and we need somebody to sing it. So my first thought was, well, hell, man, I know a lot of people could sing that song for you. And he goes, no, we want you to come down and sing it. I'm like, yeah, well, that happens every day, And I went down there, and that's when I met Tony for the first time. He was sitting there quiet, and Shannon handed me that lyric sheet, put that on, and scat singing it, and this is how it's going to go. And would we do it about 3 or 4 times? And then he left me in a room by myself with a microphone. And cranked that up.
Pushed record and play.
Pushed record. And he says, go ahead, man, hit it. And the rest is history. That was cool. Yeah. That was a cool moment for me.
We liked what we heard.
Yeah, that was cool.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, him and I.
Yeah, we started it out, and we wrote a bulk of the music. And then probably halfway through it, Ray had brought a few ideas, and we knew he could write songs too. So that started changing a little bit. And the songs from then on, it seemed like they'd share the writing of the lyrics, They did happy.
We work really well together lyrically.
Yes.
Like, Ray wrote Devil, and Ray's a great storyteller. That's what we love most about it. Like he wrote The Devil Plays a Strat, and it was his story. And then, so I got his lyric, and I was like, wow, man, now if we can just end it, So I wrote the last part of it with him, But and it's going on like that with lyrics with us now. We'll write off each other, But
it's kind of still evolving, From the beginning, it was just me and him. Then he came in. Then Brian came in. So it's kind of a work in progress, really. This band, because it's changing. I mean, who knows what the next record? Brian might write the whole thing.
We had a bunch of songs, Tony and I, and then when Ray came in, one of the songs called "Crossed Over." We had this killer, the music, and we're like, yeah, just here's the song, just write the lyrics for it, And he came back, and we had a theme too. I had a theme, and I wanted everything to be sin, evil, hell, devil. You know what I mean? And because of Robert Johnson went to the crossroads and sold the soul of the devil to make blues. You know what I mean? But so it became something. And Ray said, "Yeah, I got this one crossed over to the other side." I'm like, "Perfect." Yeah. You know, it's like with us, the blues. You know, as long as it comes from the heart. You know, a lot of Ray's stories, they're real life stories, like Junkie Hell.
Junkie Hell is real. It's from real life, something I went through personally, and friends went through personally. I watched people fall by the way, but the song ends well. And if you listen to the words of the song in the end, the realization is, I don't need this. I got to get out of here, and get up out of the darkness, see the light of day, and you know, get out. And so the song does end well. And a couple of the other ones there, real life.
I think not.
Yeah.
I think not is some hell I went through with a person in my life. And yeah, the blues will come from that. Sometimes you write them just because you're not feeling too bad, really. You're feeling kind of okay, but you want to get something out of you. And
if you've gotten over a hump, you know,
Yeah,
you can write a blues song about what happened to
Yeah.
you, but you feel better, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think a lot of it musically, it's dark. Like, you know, and his riffs sometimes bring the lyric out of me, you know, or vice versa. You know, I'll write a lyric. And Tony's a guy that's just always constantly playing and writing his guitar. I mean, it's constant. So whenever I have a new lyric, or Ray has a new lyric, just the other day, and then we just come to Tony and say, all right, play us some riffs. And he'll have his little magic recorder box thing that he, you know, sits
Magic.
around. It's magic. It is. Well, I believe in that. So, but it's magic to me. And there's never been one time that I've come to him, whether it's with Smack or this band or we have a funk project we do. But anytime I come to him with a lyric, all I gotta say, hey man, what riff you got? And he'll have his little magic box and bring it out, and I always get a riff out of it. Well, you know, that was another true life thing, you know. And you know, I'd wake up in the morning, put whiskey in my coffee, and I'd said to Tony, yeah, man, it kind of sets the tone for the day. When he started noticing, I'd started drinking during the day and stuff, you know. Like, what's up? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm setting the tone. 'Cause I wouldn't get wasted, you know. Like, it was like, just do a shot and then, like, a couple hours later do another one, you know, just to keep that thing going.
Just chase my blues away.
And then, you know, 4 or 5 later, you know, it's 5 hours later or so. And I'd go home and trying to pretend like I wasn't drunk to my wife. And but it worked out. It worked out for me. It worked out. She left me. No,
Got a song out of it.
just kidding. But anyway, you know, and like today we did an acoustic version.
Yeah.
And we played the old version in which second verse talks about pouring some Jack Daniels in there and stuff. But you know, when we went in the studio, I changed the second verse and made it about a little more personal. You know, about the needing like liquid courage, you know, to get me through the day, because I had the blues real bad at one point when I was drinking real heavy, and you know what I mean. So I wanted it to be more of a serious song, you know. But then kind of got over my alcohol hang up, and you know, so today I'm like, yeah, man, sing the old way. I'll go first, because I gotta say Blues Brothers. And, you know, whatever anyone can say, man, that was one of the best bands on the planet.
Amazing band.
And Johnny Winter. And my old guitar player in one of my old bands, Terry Carter, turned me on to Johnny Winter when I was probably 15. And he's still my favorite blues guy, you know what I mean? And then, of course, you know, Zeppelin, you know.
Yeah, that's where mine comes from, is classic rock, Zeppelin, Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. Totally from classic rock. That's where I really don't go back to the classic guys. I'm a third generation blues guy, you know. They got it from the true first guys, and I got it from the guys that copied it from them. So it's an evolution.
Well, I'd go back a little further than that, and some of the original masters, Robert Johnson and Billy McTell. And then I was kind of introduced through the radio to blues artist Rory Block, who is probably the modern purveyor of country rock and country blues and slide blues. An amazing soulful artist, and that sucked me right in.
Ray turned me on to Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah, Bonamassa.
I'd never even heard Joe Bonamassa, you know, and
An amazing guitar
before
player.
he was in the band though. I was
Yeah.
at his house one
Yeah.
night having Italian
Yeah.
dinner, and he's like, "Man, you got to see this
I
guy."
cranked that up.
And I was like, "Oh my God!" I went to Tony. Man, if you heard of Joe Bonamassa,
Yeah. So and then moving up into modern artists like that, like Zeppelin and Bonamassa, Eric Clapton, Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King, any of the Kings, and these guys are amazing. I mean, you listen to them sing, and I mean, like Tony loves guitar work, and he listens a lot, and he hears a lot of the guitar work. When I'm listening, I hear a lot of the vocal, and I hear where they're coming from when they're singing, and sometimes it just put chills into you, man.
For me, I'm gonna have to go with Zeppelin. A lot of the bass lines were just all over the neck and just tasteful, and that's like the first time I really heard a bass just open up, and just really influenced me a lot. And instead of just kind of hanging on the root note all the time, but then I'd have to say that's it for me.
and he can sing a mean Roadhouse blues. I'll tell you
there
that.
we go.
Thanks, brother.
I didn't join. I was
He was enlisted.
enlisted, and
He had no
sort of
choice in
I
the
had
matter.
no choice in the matter, really. Yeah, but what I do hope to achieve, this is kind of a new chapter for me, as far as personally, just to be the best I can possibly be. But with these guys, to just go as far as this band can possibly go, because I do believe in this band. I think I don't want to say it like I always say, because I don't think we should say it that way. It's bad words, but I think that this band has a chemistry, just because of the roots of the people in it. There's a chemistry, and I get chills talking about it. I just think these guys are kick-ass musicians, all of them. And when I'm up front singing, and I turn around and see these guys, or I'm watching Tony do his riffs, or Shannon wailing away on the drums, or Brian putting that bass down, wow.
Yeah, people don't understand sometimes. It's not really like personal talent on our instrument or whatever. You get guys in the room that have this chemistry, and it can't be bought, you know.
Nope.
And it's something we had from the first time. When we got Brian in the band, he jammed with us the first time. I felt this chemistry that, you know, I played in a lot of bands. And, you know, one guy can make or break that chemistry, and we got it.
Man, for me, it's like night and day, really. I'm using all different gear, you know, a Les Paul versus a Stratocaster, and vintage gear with this band. And the funny thing is, I was doing this stuff before Godsmack. I was into Gary Moore and Still Got the Blues. I was learning that stuff and wanted to be that guy. So it was like I got away from that because I got into the more rock and metal thing in Godsmack. But I had always revisit it and go back to that plan. You know, I didn't abandon it. So this was a welcome thing for me. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes. It fit real good, you know, and it's natural for me. I'm a better player now, so that makes it even more exciting because all the years in Godsmack made me, you know, technically a better player and all the experience. So it seemed like it was supposed to happen in a way, you know.
Yeah, the cool thing is, like, we played a show with Godsmack a couple weeks ago, or last week maybe. But, and, you know, we just did it for fun. We've been off we did 18 months on the last cycle. So, but, you know, after like 5-6 months off, then we always usually go, let's go play somewhere, you know. And it made me realize, you know, how special that band is too. Talk about chemistry, you know. And, but this is totally, completely different approach to the drums than I'm used to in Godsmack. And it's a lot, you know, less physical. But I find that I can just shut my eyes and I'm transported to a different place in this band. You know what I mean? Where in Godsmack, I want to kill everybody. You know. Yeah.
Just watching you play some nights, I ache. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching you like.
Yeah,
It's funny, he was just rubbing
that's
his
a good
shoulders
point because
earlier.
it's really physical, you know. Metal, hard rock, very, very physical. Or the blues is just very deep soul stuff for me, you know. And again, also, like, in this band, also, you know, I can write lyrics, which I've written lyrics ever since I was a little kid. And you know, when I entered Godsmack 15 years ago, you know, Sully's a lyricist, and he's the guy that writes the lyrics in that band. And, you know, he feels that for him to emote it, it has to come from within him. I totally get it. It's all good. But this gives me that avenue also to work with the singer and on melodies and lyrics, you know. Yeah, perception, you know, is a hard question, because you have your traditionalist blues guys that might want to not accept us because him and I are rock guys, and but so perception to me, I don't know. It's like everybody has to label everything, and when we first wanted to start a blues band, again, I'll go back to like we were our intent was to play clubs, smoke-filled bars or whatever. But then as the songs happened and then the band members started coming and we felt like we had this chemistry, then we're thinking, oh, well, we're probably going to go for a record deal now and see how far we can tour with this. If we can go and, go play in Germany or whatever. And then it became a real thing. And that's when I started thinking of perception. Wow, how are we going to be perceived? How would I want to be perceived? Well, as a great band.
Great songs.
Yeah, with great songs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
As I've listened to that CD, I've listened to all the tracks going down, and I like to think, because from one track to the next, it just changes. Everything changes. I like to think that there's just something there for everybody. You might not like all those tracks, but you are certainly going to like something on that CD.
Yeah, diversity, because we can play different styles. So we can mix the traditional blues with the heavier stuff, more rock blues, and even whiskey's almost rockabilly, So you get these different flavors because of our experience in music. So hope with the diversity in songs, I look at it in this band, and I get to show off my guitar playing more. So that's another thing for me, for sure.
1, 2. Your peace within the bitterness that burns.